refugee camp in Gaza. He grew up throwing stones at occupying troops, had a period in the detention of these people, and eventually joined the radical wing, and he rose in it, planning attacks and etc. etc. Now, in this process, in trying to get him, he's lost an eye to Israeli bombs. He's lost an arm. He's lost his wife. He's lost one of his sons and his daughter. And I ask, what are you threatening this guy with?
Yeah.
What exactly? And I also asked, how many Mohammed Dios are being forged on the smoldering embers of Gaza as you drop bombs day after day after day? It is, from any point of view, it is totally ridiculous, except if we come to the conclusion that we are a different kind of human being for the next one, therefore different things apply to us. And then that will make sense. And if as a world we feel that that's okay, then that's okay. But otherwise, I think we should all be opposed to what is going on for these obvious reasons.
Thank you. Now, I don't know how often you come to Nigeria, but there's always this saying, at least when I was in the UK, that if you put 5-10 Nigerians together, give them 10 minutes, 20 minutes, they start talking about Nigeria. You forget that they're in another part of the world. Like, literally, us Nigerians like to talk about Nigeria. Look, I know you guys are trying to call. You can call 0700 993 993 993. My guest is Babajide Adeniyi-Jones. You can ask him questions, borderlines. You know how we do. Come correct or you collect. So let's be smart, right? So I would like to ask you, how plugged in are you to Nigerian politics by way of just the Chibok girls went all over the world, right? The kidnapping, the abduction of the Chibok girls, and there's still a good number of them missing, over 100 or so. And then yesterday we had this horrible attack, another abduction of over 280 children from their schools. Have you done any sort of photography or any work with that sort of theme? Women either in conflict, either it's Nigerian women or up north or what? Over to you.
Yes, I went to Dapchi about 3 days after the attack on the school in Dapchi. I was very moved by Dapchi for this same reason that I keep harping on and on about our inability to recognize common humanity. We arrived in Dapchi and we went to the sort of the village head's house. In the square in front of the village head's house, there were a whole load of women sitting down. We just noticed there were women sitting down. So we went and spoke to him. And then when we came out, they said they were the mothers of the abducted. And they were sitting down praying. And I did some photographs of this group of women praying. After we went back and the girls were released, the day that the girls were released, I called one of the mothers who we had spoken to. She was the one who was most fluent in English. That's how come we spoke to her. And she was the one who was not Muslim, she was Christian. So she told me that, she's heard that her daughter has not been released. So what struck me was that when these girls were kidnapped, the assumption up in Dapchi, oh, they're all Muslim children. We heard no call, particularly from Christian associations, for the release of these girls. But when the story came out that one of them is Christian, this became a divide between. Now, all of the women praying there, nobody was Christian or Muslim. They were praying together for the return of their children
as mothers.
And then, exactly. And then when this thing, and then it then makes me think, the people who kidnapped them don't give a hoot about what faith any of those children have, but they've realized that this is a way they can use us to do their own work. They can use us to hate each other, to call each other this or that or the other by saying, oh, this one won't, so we're keeping her. And therefore, we now have a Christian body getting up. The government is not trying hard enough. Is it because she's not? All of this kind of nonsense comes up because we don't have we lose track of that thread of humanity between us all, for which we can all, regardless of what, call out. The Christian Association can call out for the release of Muslim children immediately, but it only is when it's our own. And these kind of divides are things that I think stop us from making progress. I was doing work in the North on an educational program many years ago. And I remember being told that, well, it's difficult to teach the children because the parents don't send them to regular schools. They send them to the Quranic schools. And in the Quranic schools, all they learn is the Quran. They don't teach them modern education. Well, in fact, they used to teach them science, etc., in the old days before the colonial government withdrew funding from the Almajiri schools. But the interesting thing that I find is that this group who were trying to broaden education in the North said they were going to go and talk to the imams and tell them, well, if the children are not going to schools, can we send some teachers to these Quranic schools to teach them modern, which would be science, mathematics, etc. So I said, this is crazy. First of all, it is not true. And if we decide, if you come to me and tell me that my faith means that I'm backward, it's very difficult for me to interact with you. But if you were to speak the truth, if you were to approach them and say, actually, science, algebra, and mapping of the stars, all of this was done by Islamic scholars at a time when everybody brought their knowledge to the table. Knowledge is for humanity. It's not for any. It is much easier for people to buy into that. This is part of your heritage as it is mine. But when we decide they are backward, ours is the better, this stops us from making simple advances that we can make. So these are the sorts of things that I try to look for in the work that I do.
Indeed. I know you've all been calling. I promise I couldn't interrupt my guest. He was talking. The lines were going. If you call now, I will pick up the first call that comes through. Okay? 0700 993 993 993. I'm saying it again. 07. I cannot interrupt my guest when they're talking. 0700 993 993 993. If your call comes through now, before I ask him my next question.
Can I just quickly say something? Somebody had called and asked when I was listening to the last interview, and somebody had called and asked, what did Hamas think when they did that? What did they think would happen? One of the
Babajide, I'm going to have to interrupt you. Can you see? They're all calling now. Don't forget what you were about to say, please. Okay?
I won't.
All right. Hello?
Hello.
Good
Yes,
afternoon.
good
Good evening.
afternoon. Good evening.
Good day, yes.
Yes. What's your name?
I'm
Where are you
calling
calling from? What's your question?
Yeah, is it really a question? I just want to make a little contribution. Is it okay?
Okay.
Short. Go ahead.
Okay, my little contribution is from, we are talking about religion and your guest.
No, I'm talking. My guest is a photographer. I'm talking about his work. He's taking pictures, and he's also a Nigerian. He's done. He's taking pictures of protests that are pro-Palestinians by Jewish. They're called Jewish Voices for Peace. He took pictures of that in New York, and of course, being a Nigerian, he's taking pictures at Dapchi, etc., etc., and he's talking about us as a people. So not necessarily religion. Religion is just part of what divides us.
Okay.
Yes, go ahead.
Basically, about Israel and Hamas or Palestinian.
Quickly.
I have tried over and over again, and then I find out that there are some elements of it that is rooted in religion, or basically all. And then if you look at the Islamic religion and the Christian religion, the Jewish, they are all rooted from one single area, from the Abrahamic this thing. And then at what point this division came and all that. So that as a Christian, if you're reading the Bible, you get a different story. As a Muslim, you're reading the Quran, you have a different thing. As a Jew, and then I say this thing is so complicated. How can it be resolved? Because one, I feel as an individual that two-state solution is what is needed in the middle in that.
Thank you.
Conflict.
Okay.
Two-state solution.
Thank you. Thank you. You know now. You know time.
Okay. Yes. Okay. But I really thank him. I appreciate what he's doing.
Oh,
it's fantastic.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
Thank you. Yes, and he's one of our brothers, so thank you so much.
Okay,
he's one of our brothers in the abroad, as they call them. I said he's one of our brothers in the overs, those ones across the sea.
Let me greet him in our own way.
Go.
Say hello.
Thank you so much.
All right,
thank you.
Thanks,
all right. Thank you. Night. You too. Babajide, 1 second. Let me answer this other call. Hello.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. What's your name and where you calling from, and your question, please?
Yeah, you have Emmanuel on the line. I'm calling you from Ekwe.
Go ahead, Emmanuel.
First off, I want to appreciate your guest, for the good job he's doing. And I want to ask him, does he think of capturing some work, that water down this religion, that has affected our psyche?
Okay.
Of which there is a clear division, of which people want to align, to this one because it's Muslim, it's aligned with Islamic teachings or Christianity,
I get you, Emmanuel.
Humanity completely, from it.
Thank you.
Thank you. That is my question.
I like that question. Thank you. I really get that. And I'm going to give you, you have 2 minutes to answer each question because the lines have now gone crazy. So I have to try and answer as many. But I think Emmanuel's, if you start from Emmanuel's first, does your work, have you done work that literally challenges this divisive mindset, especially where religion is concerned?
Yes, I think everything I do, not only in religion, but also in particular in religion, that is what I'm trying to do. So, for example, the reason why I'm struck by what was going on in Washington, D.C. is because it is Jewish people arguing against those lines that we think are firm. And so I think if I show it in Lagos, I'm hoping that somebody will see it and think, oh, that actually applies to me also. It applies to my if a Jewish person talks of the Palestinian Muslim, Jewish person or Christian as their cousins, it cuts against all of it because it's important to make the point that Palestinians are Jewish, Muslim, and Christian, and that these artificial demarcations. One interesting thing is if you stand at the Wailing Wall in Jerusalem, you have Muslim people, Jewish people pushing through their prayer requests through the stones in the Wailing Wall. The other side of the Wailing Wall is the Al-Aqsa Mosque. And for me, standing there, the strongest feeling I get is that no wonder this is holy ground for all these faiths. It's the same ground, it's from the same God. And once we decide that our own is a special case, we begin putting in all of these differences, and somebody will say he's the son of God, and I want to kill you because you say he's a prophet of God. All of these kind of nonsenses are things that I don't do images to make people, to show people. I do images that I hope will allow them to think about and think how it applies to themselves. Because that's when, it's not when somebody comes and tells you, don't do this. It's when you're spurred to think about things and see them perhaps in a way you've not thought about them before. That real change can come.
Thank you so much. Right, I'm picking up your next call. Hello? 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 You have to call back. Hello? Okay. Yeah, I think I lost that line, or perhaps you couldn't hear me. Let me go. Okay, I knew it. Hello?
Oh, good evening, ma'am.
Good evening. What's your name and where you calling from?
My name is Kingsley.
Pardon? Say that again.
My name is Kingsley.
Kingsley, go ahead. Your question,
I'm
please.
From Surulere.
Surulere.
Yes. I want to talk to Jide, your guest. Good evening, sir.
Yes.
He can hear you. You can't talk to him without talking to me. So just talk.
It's all right, ma'am. I want to say that he's one of the with the most intelligent voices I've heard on radio lately.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you very much. But I want to ask you a question, sir. At any given time, have you had work that depicted the Biafran issue and the ills attached? And if you have heard, what was the outcome of it?
Sorry, say that again. What was the question?
Has he ever had work like he did of the Palestine?
Oh, has he ever done any work? Okay. Has he taken pictures, right, of any kind of movements abroad of Biafra? Okay.
That depicted the Biafran.
Well, not so much the pics, but that people are talking about Biafra. I get you.
Okay.
I get you. Thank you, Henry. One second, Babajide. I'll just answer. Kingsley, sorry. Thank you, Kingsley. Right. Stay listening. That will be answered. Babajide, let me just answer one more. And hello.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening. Good evening. What's your name and where you calling from?
Rapuchku is my name.
Rapuchku, go ahead.
I want to greet your guest.
Okay, he can hear you. Babajide is his name.
You sir?
His name is Babajide.
Okay, Babajide, I greet you, sir.
Thank you.
It's all right.
I greet you too.
My question, I'm just tuning in. I hear you talking about Chibok girls. So, please, I want to ask, what is still holding our girls inside? Because at a time, I learned they are coming out one, at a time they will use one, with the past administrations and this very present administration.
Okay.
Shetima is the governor of
Rapachuku, I have to interrupt you because Babajide is a photographer. When we were talking about the Chibok girls and Dapchi, we were talking about the kind of photographs that he took when he was out there. But he's heard your question. So he's not a politician and he's not an expert.
My point. Is it that
well, we don't know what that means.
Meaning, is it that the creeper is not sharp, or that the baba doesn't know how to barb?
I have no idea what you're talking about. Rapachuku.
Why? Because Shetima is the governor that time and is the vice president now. Why can't our girls, all of them, bring their...
Why do you think Shetima... No, this is a totally wrong topic. Rapachuku, I have to cut you off. This is not... Right. This is not it. Thank you. Hello? Okay. Right. Okay. Hello?
Good evening, Mama.
Good evening. What's your name and where you calling from, please?
I'm Messi, calling from Agrai, Berigema.
You're calling from where?
Mercy.
Okay, go ahead, Mercy. What is your question, please?
I just want to greet everyone. Happy International Day for
Okay.
Women today.
Thank you. Thank you so much,
Well
Mercy.
done. Thank you for your good work.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I love you. I love you.
I love you too. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, this is the last one, and then I'm coming to you, Babajide. Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. What's your name and where you calling from, please?
I'm to Nigeria.
Yes, you are. You need to turn your radio off. And your name? Your name?
My name is Ngozi, and I want to participate.
Where are you calling from? Oh, that poor little baby.
From Abuja.
Okay, go ahead, Ngozi. Go ahead with your question.
Okay, so I want to participate in the show, in the live show.
Yeah, where you are? Yeah, you are. You are. Ask your question now.
I should ask my question now.
Yes, you're live.
It's a live show they are on.
It is a live show. You are on live. Everybody can hear you. The whole of Nigeria can hear you right now. Oh dear. People do get you know the way people get stage fright? There's radio fright as well when they finally get through. I don't know whether it's my voice or what they think my voice will do. Go ahead. I'm going to let you answer. I think we had one question out of all about those 4 calls. So I'm going to leave
so
that to you.
The gentleman who asked me whether I had done any work around Biafra.
Yeah.
I have not done any photographic work specifically around Biafra. I've got bits and pieces that I've done that I hope one day will come together and be something that's understandable, that addresses aspects of Biafra. But I write also, and I've written a fair amount in which I talk about things to do with the situation in Biafra. And one, about 4 or 5 years ago, I went to this is just a comment on what I think about the Biafran situation. 4 or 5 years ago, I went to a seminar at George Washington University called something like Remembering Biafra. And there were a lot of people who, presented papers. I was just there watching. And this lady who's could not have been alive during the Biafran War, she was, if she was a little baby. So much of what she spoke about, she had learned either from anecdotes or from studying. And by this time, she was teaching in a university in America. And she gave an excellent presentation. And when she was leaving, I was standing in the passageway that she was walking by, and I just said to her that I thought that her presentation was excellent, and she thanked me, and then she looked at my name tag, and she said, "Jide Adeniyi-Jones, are you Yoruba?" And I said yes, and she said, "What brings you here?" Now, I could have felt, what does she mean? But then I thought to myself, what, as understanding that or claiming that we're one country, what are we doing to negate a question like that? What are we doing? Why sort of inquiries into the cause of the war? Why those kind of questions come from the East and don't come from the North or don't come from the West? Because I said my only way I could answer her, I said, well, if I'm walking and I buck my toe, my elbow will not say that's my toe's business. And that's kind of like what I think about. I'm sorry, I can't say to you, or point to the gentleman to any work that I've done specifically about Biafra, but I think it's even today, I think it's really important to define the difficult aspect about looking back at Biafra is to openly look at it, to say, oh, you are the people, okay, what is the case? So you will either see that it has no basis, or else it's something, if we're going to move forward as a country, we have to face. But this idea that we don't, anyway, that's
I've got to ask you curiously, because I have a message on my own phone saying, is that the same Adeniyi-Jones of Adeniyi-Jones?
Adeniyi-Jones of Adeniyi-Jones.
You know, we have Adeniyi-Jones in Ikeja.
Okay, well, the street called Adeniyi-Jones Street in Ikeja was named after my grandfather.
Okay, I thought so.
And he was a medical doctor, but he was also involved in politics. So he was part of the Legislative Council before independence, and so therefore the street was named after him. A lot of people who I meet say, "Oh, did he have the first house on that street?" Or he didn't name it after himself. It was people who came after him who decided to. But yes, he was my grandfather.
Yeah, because that sort of segues me into the next question about how does that heritage sort of shape you as, second generation Adeniyi-Jones? How does it shape you? How does it shape your work? How does it shape the way you relate to Nigeria as a citizen?
I don't know how I could say that I grew up in a family. My grandfather on my father's side was Adeniyi-Jones. My grandfather on my mother's side was Justice Rhodes, and he had started his practice. He had a thriving practice in Aba, and so I think that we grew up with people in and out of the house from everywhere. We didn't really grow up in a house that we were Yoruba. Everybody who came in was this, that, or the other. So and then I think I went to the secondary school I went to had people from all over.
Which secondary school? Oh, you're a Greg's, right? Right.
And so I think there's an extent to which my own upbringing was pretty. There's a word to say that I wasn't steeped in, I wasn't brought up in an atmosphere of any particular kind of prejudice. Because even, growing up in Lagos in those days, religious prejudice would be ridiculous. If you say to somebody, because they're Muslim, you like them or don't like them, or the way people choose to worship, in those days, it would become, because within families, you had the uncle is this, the aunt is that. It was completely ridiculous.
Yeah.
And almost unrecognizable from the take no prisoners religious boundaries that we see today.
Now, finally, because we've got to go, you've got 2 minutes left. As a photographer, that's eye, how does your eye or the extension of your eye capture Nigeria in color? What colors would it capture of Nigeria if you were to describe it, or if your camera was to talk about this crazy country that you hail from?
I don't know that I can name a color that although I listened to you talk about Lagos to your last guest, and I thought that was such a visual and an all sensory description of the place, and I certainly cannot rise to that level of creativity in describing Nigeria. But I must say that Nigeria, maybe at this stage in my life, Nigeria is nostalgia. Nigeria is a place, is an idea that I do not think has gone, has passed. I think it cannot be retrieved, but I do think it requires work and effort, and it does not require the kind of political leadership that we have today. Okay. The kind of political leadership that seems to me to be self-serving, that seems to me to be focused on short-term and no real deep understanding of the possibilities of what we could be. And yeah, I mean, yeah, 2 minutes. So I mean, this is something that you talk about.
Maybe I should have asked you this. Maybe I should have asked you this at the beginning. Well, now
can I just go
ahead.
Squeeze in this word I was going to say when somebody was asking, what did Hamas think? And it applies to the question you asked me about Nigeria.
Yes.
One of the billboard, one of the placards that somebody was carrying said, "You cannot defeat a people who know that death is not the end." And I think that is so profound because even Nigeria, what? Death is not the end. What we do now impacts on people long after us. And I think that's what we can build on, an understanding that it's not, I don't have to see the end of what I'm doing. It doesn't have to, it's only my ego that will benefit from it. There are building blocks I can put down now that will only, or seeds that we will see yielding fruit in years to come.
When are you back? If I say goodbye, when are you back? When are you back?
As soon as I can. And I assure you, you'll be one of the first doors I come knocking on.
Oh, fabulous. We can't wait to have you. Honestly, I'm looking forward to seeing those pictures indeed. By the
way, I know you.
Oh, you do?
I mean, not personally. I'm just looking forward to meeting you, but certainly I do.
How do you know me?
And from this.
Oh.
From
from my work?
Writing, from your name. Yes.
Yeah, oh, wow. Yeah. Okay. Well, now I can say I know you too.
Thank you very much indeed.
No, thank you
very much indeed.
Babajide Adeniyi-Jones. I can say that again. Babajide Adeniyi-Jones, and it rhymes. Babajide Adeniyi-Jones. Thank you so much for your good work, and I can't wait to see your photographs. I can't wait to actually meet you in person and have a wider, deeper conversation. And certainly, you will be coming back to Borderlines. And
look forward to
even if you're not female, happy International Women's Day.
Oh, thank you. I'll just quickly
go on.
Somebody sent me a joke today that there was a helicopter and there were 10 men and 1 woman hanging from a rope, and there wasn't enough. It wasn't strong enough to keep them all, so they were arguing about who would let go. And then the woman said, "I will let go. I will drop down. I'm used to making sacrifices for my family, with nothing in return." And when she said that, all the men began to clap.
Happy International Women's Day. That's the story of us.
And of course, fell off the rope.
That's the story of women. Thank you so much.
All right, yeah.
Have a fabulous weekend.
Bye.
Take care. Be well.
Live from the heart of Victoria Island, you're listening to your number one station. 99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's